Well, we've got a little bit of a different one here. You know, on this channel we do a lot of stuff with cars, specifically Mopar stuff, like my Coronet right there. But one thing that I've loved for a very long time is these tin grill Dodges, and I've never had a chance to own one until now. And I just so happened to get lucky and get one of the rare ones and one of my favorite ones, and this is a 1979 Little Red Express. So, let me show you guys what this thing's all about, what makes it cool, and try to figure out what we're going to do with it. So, first of all, I'll just go around and look at the outside, and obviously, this thing is in rough shape. It's definitely got plenty of rust weight reduction, door, step, bed, you know, you name it, it probably has a rust hole in it. So, that being said, this is a rough project, but what this also is it is a nice condition frame, and there actually are some decent parts on this thing. So, like this bedside here, or fender, I should say, bedside fender, is actually in good shape. Looks like it might be a little bit rusty, maybe in here, maybe a couple little holes. Looks like that's cracked there, but hey, that ain't too bad. The stacks are still here, still in good shape. But yeah, the cab is a little crunchy. So that being said, also, if anybody near Minnesota has parts, body panel parts for this, specifically doors, fenders, and any other little odds and ends. Bumpers, I need a different front bumper probably, and I definitely need to do something about a rear bumper. So, that being said, anybody near Minnesota, south central Minnesota, you got something? Let me know. Or, if anybody has stuff and is going to the No Name Nationals in a couple weeks, let me know. I could get stuff from you there. So, anyways, the big thing going on with this is a couple things. First of all, if you look at this side, you look at the tire to the fender, you know, there's probably 3 inches there, you know, decent. But on this side, I can barely stick my hand in there. Well, I was looking under the front today, and I figured out why. Not sure if the camera will show, but there's a broken coil spring right up there. So, that's a problem, but not something that we can definitely fix it, not something that's detrimental. So, what we need to figure out with this thing is what we're going to do with it, and, you know, what the goal is. The first goal is going to have to be doing something about this cab. There's holes, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, it'll probably need rockers, and definitely needs floors. But need to make sure the condition of the cab mounts and see what we can or can't do about reconstructing this area. Because as I push on the door here, you see it moves, so that's a problem. So, but I guess I could talk about some of the stuff that makes the Little Red Express unique or cool, other than obvious reasons like big stacks. But most of these came with the buddy seat system. This buddy seat folds up and gets out of the way, and it's just like a bench seat, or you could fold down and have a nice armrest. And also, if you flip up the middle, there's a storage compartment there as well. So, pretty cool system there. The dash, I don't think, is any different than a regular D150, or even, you know, 3/4 ton, 1 ton, any of them. I think they're pretty much the same. This steering wheel, I think 79 was the first year of this steering wheel. I really am not a fan of it. I know in 78, the first year of the Little Red, they had the tough wheel out of like a 70, 71 era Mopar. So that's cool. I'd probably swap to that if I can find one. So, But anyways, the whole thing is in rough shape, and it's kind of been left for dead. And I'm kind of jokingly but mildly seriously referring to this as the Little Dead Express. You know, similar to Graveyard Cars went with their Little Dead wagon when they did that A100. Well, this thing's kind of the Little Dead Express. So, anyways, I'm gonna go back over some of the features of a Little Red. Obviously, you got your step side bed, but the unique parts are obviously the chrome stacks that come through the steps. The steps are supposed to be chrome. They've been painted over on this. And you got wood paneling on the sides. Also, you got wood paneling on the tailgate, but it's missing here. And you would have a decal that says Little Red Truck right on the back. And again, on this side, the wood paneling continues, and a matching dual exhaust chrome stack with a chrome step. But like I said, they're painted over. You can see some of that chrome shining through still. So that's kind of most of the exterior features, as well as on the door. There's a kind of a circle shaped where it would say Little Red, or a Little Red Express, and then truck underneath. So that's another cool feature. But other than that, that's kind of it as far as exterior treatment, other than it did have some gold pinstriping. And again, if anybody has other information, or if I'm saying something wrong, let me know in the comments. But where it really shined was if you pop the hood, this still has its original Little Red Express 360. So what made this thing kind of special was this was a 360 that they pulled out of a cop car, essentially, that they put you know, the chrome valve covers, which you can see they're really dirty, but they're there. They put a large thermoquad. They put this nice air cleaner on where it had these tubes that kind of went to the front and sucked air in kind of through behind the grill. And the big thing that changed was this had a camshaft out of a 1968 340. So this thing definitely had a little more guts to it than a stock 360 of the era. If you were to order just a regular pickup truck with a 360, compared to this, it would be very different. So that being said, they still weren't a ton of power. They were rated at 225 horsepower, 340 foot-pounds of torque, which isn't much. But at the time, it was actually the fastest production vehicle in the US, maybe in the world, I don't know. But definitely was the fastest production vehicle in the US. If you were to get one of these off the showroom and get a Corvette off the showroom, both loaded as heavily as you could, this Little Red truck beat it. So, really a cool piece of history for sure. Definitely a cool situation that Dodge found themselves getting into. And the reason they could do this is because a bunch of emissions and a bunch of other rules and regulations were dropped once a vehicle's gross vehicle weight was above 6,000 pounds. Obviously, this is not 6,000 pounds, but it was rated, the GVW, at 6,050 pounds. These trucks were actually a little less than 4,000 pounds, roughly, from quick research I've done. But they say that the gross vehicle weight could reach 6,050, which I think was basically just kind of a sales pitch from Dodge saying, hey, this is a truck, so leave us alone. But it worked for 78 the first year. 79, they had to put catalytic converters on, from my understanding. Again, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's kind of the basic rundown. So obviously we have a lot of work to do on this. I don't know what kind of a timeline we're looking at on this. I just want to get it fixed up, get the cab looked at, possibly fixed, and, you know, fix the floors. This engine, the guy I got it from showed me that this engine did run off of a gas bottle last summer, so that's a nice little feature, nice little bonus. But other than that, it's coming along. It'll come along pretty easily, I think. The biggest issue that we're facing right now is actually the rear end of the truck. As you can see, this rear end is actually way back. That's because originally these came with a 9 1/4 heavy duty rear end with 355 gears. That was another Little Red Express feature. That was taken out of this truck, and the previous owner stuck a 8 3/4 out of a car in here upside down. So obviously that's a problem, but what I figured out as a temporary solution is that these leaf springs are right at 46 inches apart center to center. And I was looking at other rear ends that I have around here. An E-body out of a Challenger or Cuda, an E-body 8 3/4, the spring perches are 46 center to center. So in theory, you can drop an 8 3/4 on top of the leaf springs under this truck, and you know, at that point you also have lowered the truck, but we're just going to do that temporarily as a make it roll, because I think it's held in with bungee cords and straps right now, and the rear end is in there upside down. So you know, I don't really want to deal with that, and there's definitely no way of hooking it up in that condition. So anyways, that's the basic rundown of this. Hopefully somebody appreciates seeing some truck stuff going on here. I don't know, again, I don't know the timeline of when this is going to be really getting a bunch of work done to it, but as soon as I know, you guys will know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you guys had any Little Red Expresses in your area, and I will make videos as soon as I get to it. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.